Welcome everyone to ASI Education Book Review. As you know, the books we present to you will have at least one thing in common, and that is their relevance to federal acquisition and government contracting. What we try to do here is extract those nuggets from any of these books to really apply to the acquisition professional that they can use in their career development. Jennifer Pelka's Recoding America, Why Government is Failing in the Digital Age and How We Can Do Better is no exception. This will resonate not only with the acquisition and government contract professional, but all stakeholders involved in the acquisition cycle. From policy and legal to technologists and product managers on industry side, and of course, within and across our government agencies. Off the bat, by title alone, this hit with me for a few key and perhaps obvious reasons. First, to truly bring about any meaningful change, we must be honest in recognizing and appreciating our failures. Perhaps a hard pill for some to swallow, but served up caringly by the author. Second, context matters. Cognizance of where we are in the world today, digital services in the 21st century, affects strategy and approach. We talk at length of this in our Digital IT Acquisition Professional or DITAP FACSI DS certification program. So bonus points to the author there. Third, we can always do better. Failure is an opportunity for learning. That this book addresses these key elements literally right up front serves an accurate and delivered upon promise to the reader. You won't be disappointed. Now, to the skeptics, and I can at times include myself, who may quickly recognize their laundry list of, oh, I can answer that. Those are abundant. I recommend tempering any preconceived notions. In fact, accept the motivational inscription inside, to public servants everywhere. Don't give up. The introduction hands us some welcome nostalgia. Reassessing the schoolhouse rock teachings of our old friend Bill over on Capitol Hill, Pelka's central thesis of this book is derived in those 3 memorable minutes. For as catchy a jingle and as succinct a lesson of how a bill becomes law, the celebration thereafter was premature. Passage of policy does not equal successful implementation. Here, Pelka offers early answer to the title's cover question, why the government is failing in the digital age, by stating, the implementation crisis threatens our democracy. Federal acquisition and government contracting professionals heed this. That's our cue, our call to service, our don't give up. The author permits our 3-minute schoolhouse rock caliber understanding of policy because of one critical understanding and qualifier we possess. We know delivery. It's the requirements you shape, procure, achieve. It's the missions you support and serve. It will come from the solicitation you're about to release and the recompete you just awarded. To quote the author, delivery is how the intent of the policy gets done. It is what we, the public, experience when a policy is implemented. She goes on to describe it not as something we think about, rather we feel it. We're able to do so because delivery is happening all around us, from the taxes we pay, the schools we attend, the mail we receive, and the roads we travel. It's something we can easily take for granted, and when we do so to our own detriment. Delivery shapes who we are as citizens. Our failures with and as the government to deliver create the conditions for a less effective government. And so, it's this intersection point where policy meets implementation that the reader must find appreciation to truly gain from this book. One of my favorite choices the author makes is how she seamlessly interweaves and depicts relevant agency product and project challenges, from those with greatest visibility, like the healthcare.gov debacle, to many of those equally, if not greater in significance, but perhaps lesser apparent, such as benefits access within the VA. She expertly does this, honoring those who allow it all to happen, the respective protagonists, the heroes within our government agencies, who operate and act emblematic of their understanding and appreciation of the challenges presented through that separation of policy and implementation. This book is clean and simple in its 3-part structure. The first section describes how we got to where we are, to include explanation and understanding of the layers of bureaucracy, represented by similar layering of systems upon legacy systems that we fool ourselves into believing is modernization. It distinguishes the antiquated ways of the waterfall and why the agile methodology is the right way to explore and procure digital services. The second section reads more tactical, the mechanicals of why things are happening as they are. With understanding of what may have led us here, what that now means for changes we may need to understand, accept, and implement. What does inherently government mean? One of the chapters in this section closes with the author stating, "Government knows how to acquire technology. What we need to acquire are capabilities." What this means is that very few problems can alone be solved by any technological tools government may buy, rather by the government owning the competencies and capabilities to develop similar products and solutions without such dependency on their industry counterparts. Where this leaves and leads us is the third and final section of the book. Here we are reminded and urged to distinguish user needs from government needs. Simply by bringing technologists into all levels of government, the concerns we have of policies and why they may fail in implementation can be incorporated into decisions from the beginning, thus placing the citizen at the center of the policy-making process. The book is really good in providing answers to many of its questions posed. Of course, some questions are introduced for consideration and further exploration. The author concludes her book with two questions for us to really start with, regardless of where we are in time, be it here in the digital age or beyond. The first being, what is the nature of the capacity government needs today? And the second, how do we go about building it? To government contracting and acquisition professionals, consider this revision of a Clay Shirky quote. "A revolution doesn't happen when government adopts new technologies. It happens when government adopts new behaviors. To do so, as the author advises, it is a willingness to put the needs of government's many users ahead of the needs of the bureaucracy, and to learn while doing. The good news is that software and our government have something very important in common. They are made by and for the people. In the end, we get to decide how they work." So let's see how this thing racks up on our FAR rating scale. For relevance, this book gets a 4.5 FARs. If I'm entirely biased, I would give it probably 100 FARs because of my involvement with DITAP, which the author rightly calls out in the book. Speaking to building digital as a core competency of government, but I can appreciate not all who buy for the government are involved with the procurement of digital services. And so much like DITAP, the applicability or relevance isn't yet universal. But believe you me, it will be. For readability, I have to give it all 5 FARs. I spoke already to the author's ability to share relevant stories of where much of the book's takeaways are occurring or have occurred within our government agencies. Further, when she addresses some of the more complex concepts, she's able to make them relatable and teachable. I personally read this thing 4 times. Last time I viewed something 4 times was when Titanic was first released, and I caught that 4 different times in the theater, but I digress. Never let go. Lastly, is it beneficial? You can bet your 5 FARs it is. The benefit of the insights shared here are not ahead of their time. While I'll give it to you that the relevance may not be immediate to all contracting professionals for what they are buying today, the deep and balanced education on how we got to where we are today, what challenges that presents, as well as the opportunities it affords, with a focus on user experience and design before policies are passed, all serve to repair the implementation crisis we face and feel. So that total comes to 4.8 FARs for Recoding America. So where does our reading go from here? First and foremost, I urge you to tell us in the comments below. Be sure to like and subscribe to keep up with all our content. You can also find us on Instagram at ASI_education. Lucky for us readers, Jennifer Palka also offers provided suggestions for further reading at the end of the book. I've added each of those to my Goodreads. Thanks again for watching. Thanks for reading, and stay tuned for what we're doing next.